Hey internet, so Barbie is releasing a hijab-wearing Barbie to commemorate the 2016 Rio Olympics where Ib something Muhammad, I can't pronounce it, I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher it, was the first Olympic athlete to compete while wearing a hijab. In order to commemorate this, they have shown the fencing outfit plus the hijab that she was wearing, and this got me thinking. A Muslim Barbie. I wonder what countries in the world happen to have banned Barbie dolls from their countries. Any guesses at all? Maybe some Muslim countries, perhaps? The ADL used to have a page on this where it was called the Arab World slash Barbie. Now, this page is no longer available. If you search for it, if you search for Arab Barbie, what comes up instead is a 2014 article about guidance that they're trying to give to the Common Core Anchor Standards. So for grades 6 through 12, about stereotypes of girls and women in the media. They're trying to avoid harmful stereotypes, so students will identify actions they can take to affect change in the gender stereotyping that occurs in the media, okay? We don't want negative opinions of women, courtesy of the Anti-Defamation League that has since removed its page on the Arab World and Barbie. But what is it that they removed exactly? Oh, I see. Here's what they removed. Back in 2003, there was a CBS report about the state of affairs in Saudi Arabia. It said, quote, Saudi Arabia's religious police have declared Barbie dolls a threat to morality, complaining that the revealing clothes of the Jewish toy, that's in quotes, already banned in the kingdom, are offensive to Islam. That's interesting that you're making a Muslim Barbie now. One of the most interesting aspects of this report was that the Barbie was imbued with religious affiliation. The doll is referred to as Jewish. The Jewishness of Barbie is mentioned several times in the same report. They say, quote, Jewish Barbie dolls with their revealing clothes and shameful postures, accessories, and tools are a symbol of decadence of the perverted West. Let us beware of her dangers and be careful. End quote, said a message posted on the site. And a spokesman for the committee said the campaign against Barbie, banned for more than 10 years, coincides with the start of the school year to remind children and their parents of the doll's negative qualities. Speaking to the Associated Press by telephone from the holy city of Medina. He, the spokesman, claimed that Barbie was modeled after a real-life Jewish woman. So what I'm reading now is from the book Brand Islam, The Marketing and Commodification of Piety. And it says, ironically, ascribing the Jewish religion to the Barbie is the same as calling the hijab dolls Muslim. Reportedly, the Saudi Madawa, or religious police, are permitted to confiscate Barbie dolls and fine the seller, and yet one can purchase a Barbie doll in the kingdom for around $27. Taking advantage of political strife between Israel and the Arab world, Saudi government officials may have assumed that calling Barbie a Jewish doll would solidify citizen allegiance. Now that's interesting. Why would Muslim countries think that calling something Jewish would make people less likely to buy it and more likely to be loyal to the state? Because the left is against anti-Semitism. They're always talking about fighting anti-Semitism. They're always talking about fighting for women's rights. And then they support countries like this, where they make hijab-wearing Barbie dolls in order to appease these people. Here's from the book Are Men Necessary When Sexes Collide by Maureen Dowd. From the book Are Men Necessary. This, from a hypocritical desert kingdom with more lingerie stores than its malls in Victoria, has secrets, where the religious police let 15 little girls die in a school blaze in Mecca rather than let them be rescued without their headscarves and abayas, so that there was no exposure of females to male strangers. It's probably useless to start correcting the inbred Saudis on facts, but just for the record, Barbie was a knockoff of a German doll named Lily, marketed as a gag pornographic gift to adult men in bars and tobacco shops. Lily was based on a prostitute in a comic strip, and the Floozy Bond was transformed into the all-American brunette Barbie in 1959 with the late Ruth Handler, an American daughter of Polish Jewish immigrants. Now we're starting to get a picture as to why Muslim countries are banning it. They think it's westernized, they think it promotes decadence, they think it promotes promiscuity, and one of the other things that it promotes is not having children, because Barbie is famously childless. Okay, she just has a little boy toy, Ken, and well, you've heard this song, Barbie Girl. You know what they do. Ban the Barbie. Police in Iran shut down toy shops selling U.S. doll and crack down on Western culture. That's what this is about. So it's very interesting as to whether or not us making a Muslim Barbie is an attempt to promote Islam in the United States, whether or not it's an attempt to promote U.S. culture to the East. The initial ban on the sale of Barbie dolls in Iran was imposed in the mid-1990s, but the ban itself has largely been ignored by toy owners. Although there have been spurts of actually enforcing it. In 1996, the government-backed children's agency called Barbie a Trojan horse, thinking Western influences like makeup and revealing clothes. In 2002, it was denounced for having un-Islamic characteristics of a uniquely American doll. And in 2002 again, Iran created its own dolls, the Dara and Sarah dolls, which you can see here, to try to promote, but these did not do very well. And the reason it gets banned in Iran is part of a soft war on Western culture. In its latest bid to ensure Western culture does not undermine Islamic values, Iran has said it will begin to enforce a ban on Barbie dolls. So this ban has existed for a long time, not really enforced. Apparently, the way shopkeepers get away with selling Barbie dolls is by, quote, we still sell Barbies, but secretly put these in the window to make the police think we're just selling these kinds of dolls. So what they're doing is hiding them in order to allow people that want them to get them, but the police apparently don't think to check behind the dolls. So let's look at which countries happen to have tried to ban the Barbie doll. In Malaysia, the Consumers Association and Bank House tried to ban them. The point was that Barbie does not encourage creativity, whatever that means. It's a little doll for little kids, not supposed to encourage creativity. It's non-Asian in appearance, which ultimately promotes non-Asian things, and that's very problematic if you happen to live in those countries, because we can't have cultural appropriation of the West. Of course, we also can't have cultural appropriation of the East. Also, we need cultural appropriation of everything because diversity is our strength. You get the picture. In Iran, they dislike it because of the childless by choice Barbie. She has no plans for marriage, and of course, what they would prefer in Muslim countries is for a man to marry 4 women so that he has to slave out to 4 women at once instead of just one. And just because it's banned there, it can go for as much as $700 in their stores. That really tells you a lot about the demand for those countries to get rid of the laws where they say they have to wear burkas and hijabs. You know, one of the things that people always say about the hijab, well, if women choose to wear it, why don't you just let them? Well, because they don't choose to wear it. They get forced to. There are laws in place, either on the books as part of the official country law, or there are Sharia courts operating underground where if women are caught not doing this, they get punished. It's not a choice. So here's an article from back in December 10th, 2009, appearing on the LA Times, Muslim World Barbie's 50th Anniversary Islamic Makeover. So they have tried this again in the past, and as you can see, they just covered up Barbie in a burqa. You can only see her eyes, as the Muslims in these countries want, because otherwise, you know, they might accidentally get a boner while looking at the Barbie doll, and that'd be very bad. And unlike the skimpy and revealing outfits of blonde and blue-eyed Barbie, dark-eyed Fulla wears more modest clothes and hairdos to the delight of the authorities in conservative Arab countries such as Saudi Arabia and Iran, who previously targeted the original Barbie in crackdowns. Now, what is Fulla? That's an interesting name. It's a Muslim alternative to Barbie, which, as you can see, is a little bit more conservative. It covers up much of the face so that, again, grown men that happen to be looking at this don't just magically get boners because they can't control themselves, apparently. And this Fulla doll has sold $1.5 million within the first 2 years of its making. That's actually pretty impressive. Here's an interesting one. Russia is also banning Barbie for a lot of the same reasons, whether they want to avoid westernization, and Putin actually thinks that it promotes not having families. So the move will be seen as part of the Kremlin's attempt to control the sense of identity of young Russians. Russian President Vladimir Putin is keen to foster ideals of family and patriotism along the belief that Russia was and can be again a great imperial power. This is an article on The Guardian from back Sunday, 24th November 2002 by Nick Walsh. And one of the other reasons that they give to try to ban in Russia is that they're afraid it awakens sexual impulses in the minds of the very young. The ministry, which they call the Ministry of Education, but it might as well be the Ministry of Truth here, where they're trying to control this sort of thing. They say, quote, the Russian market is overwhelmed with different toys of foreign production, part of which is damaging for children and is not destined for use of small children. And here's some more pictures of the Fulla doll. You can see that it's not really that much in stark contrast to the Barbie doll in terms of physique. They just kind of dress it differently. And here's just another article of how Saudi Arabia tries to ban it on the grounds of it being a Jewish toy. The Saudi Arabian Committee for the Propagation of Virtue and Prevention of Vice, as the religious police are known, says, quote, Jewish Barbie dolls with their revealing clothes and shameful postures, accessories, and tools are a symbol of decadence to the perverted West. Let's beware of these dangers and be careful, said a message posted on the site. The Sheikh Abdullah Al Merdas also says that these revealing clothes will be imprinted in their minds and they will refuse to wear the clothes we are used to as Muslims. You really have to be questioning whether or not this doll is actually propaganda against the United States, as in to try to get the United States to accept Islam a little bit more, or is it an attempt to try to get Barbie within Islamic countries to try to get them to accept the Barbie doll by putting her in a hijab so that they can accept the other versions of Barbie as well, thereby allowing us to westernize foreign countries. It's possible both games are being played at the same time. Obviously, she's playing the first game. The CIA could very well be playing the second game. Who knows? What I want to point out here is that it's very interesting that these Muslim countries try to prevent the existence of Barbie in their country on the basis of it being a Jewish doll. You got the ADL always looking out for ways that they can prevent anti-Semitism. Well, apparently, if you want to make Barbie dolls that promote subjugating women to the wills of men so that these men can keep it in their pants because they apparently have no control themselves, then that is perfectly fine. If you want to try to keep these Barbie dolls Muslim as possible on the grounds that the initial Barbie doll is somehow a Jewish propaganda piece, then according to the ADL, the page cannot be found, which is quite interesting. Anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe, because I got at least one video for you a week, and hit that notification button. Otherwise, YouTube does not tell you about every single video that I make.